All right, gang, we are in the Woolwich software. Yes. Jorge was able to go ahead and he's actually doing some adjustments on the bike right now.
Took a little bit, but Woolich Racing, thank God, their customer service is great. They're really responsive, help you, try to walk you through everything. There's definitely a lot of information out there about it, but yeah, we're all loaded up. Again, everything does work through your email. You have to log in through your email. You're going to create an account, then you'll be able to download the software. Everything pulls up through your email. So now we have the actual key to have access into the ECU.
If you look at our ECU too, this is actually a California ECU, which is kind of crazy, dude. But he's writing. I don't know if you're writing a file right now or anything.
Not yet.
He's still adjusting stuff. So
check it out here. Say this is your fuel map. All right, like I said, we're sports and road mode. We can also mess around with rain mode. Again, this is just your throttle position or intake air pressure map. There's TPS there. So again, we're having a surge issue, so we're going to be adjusting down low, which would be the intake air pressure. Running down low, obviously there's no ram air effect, so it's just running off that little bit of air that is coming in. So let's say now the bike's idling, I'm sure at least at about 1,000, the lowest when you're at the stoplight.
Yeah, you get
correct?
that like constant, like it sounds like the air.
Do you remember how high the RPMs were coming up?
I mean, it's revving at probably like 2,600.
Okay, so they were coming up high.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, most likely. See, we have 162.
What do you typically adjust it? Is it like do you just normally push it to a...
So where we're at now is because everything is from the factory set lean. If you see here how actually low these numbers are, because that's where the fuel starts being taken away. And if you see how these numbers are bigger, because you're applying throttle, more, bigger number technically means more fuel. So we're actually going to be adding fuel in these lower numbers to take care of that idle issue, that surge down low. And then obviously if there's a power issue down up top or maybe too rich up top, then we're going to lean that out. So yeah, we're going to be making these numbers actually a little bit bigger to give us more fuel down low. And then hopefully we'll be able to run the bike and actually be able to watch that engine data change.
Okay.
That's another nice
I'll let you work on that since we're running off of a battery right now.
No problem. And then that's see right here, that's the engine data. So we'll be able to actually watch what's going on while the bike is running.
Cool.
And make adjustments.
Perfect.
Yes, sir. So, actually, let's start it up because I want to know where it's at. We're set, we're in neutral.
adjustment while the bike is on?
It won't let you make the adjustment while it's on.
Gotcha.
You'll have to make the adjustment and then you write the ECU.
Okay.
And then obviously you'll be able to see your changes after that. let's go back. Alright, so we're in sports and road. Alright, so from here, 1800. That's about the max. And this would be at 0% throttle. And I opened it. That was only 1%. I'll start with this group here. Plus sign. We're gonna go 10 units. You can go by units, percentages. You know, again, anybody could do it how they want. So we're actually gonna add fuel here. 72. So we
I
added.
don't know if you guys saw that changed.
Yeah, we can go back.
No, it's fine. It's cool. You're good. You're good.
So that would be stock, and then we're adding. That's 10 units.
Awesome.
That's another 10 units there. So we're gonna go 20.
On the upper range too, obviously, I mean, I want to be able to throttle the sucker where obviously to the limiter off of it already.
Which now that's what.
Which I'm going to just be spewing a lot of gas at that point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To throw out the top end.
Right.
I mean, your bike takes off. I want to be able to not get dropped.
No,
You know what I
exactly,
mean?
for sure. So we're gonna.
Especially on the straightaway in the track, I want to be able to just light that freaking thing up.
Right.
You know, when we're going 180 miles an hour, I want to be able to pull it to the very, very
So we
limit.
just saved that map. We are going to write the ECU. Let's see, I need to save that so I know I have a name for it. ZX-10R, so this is 0.2. So this is going into your section where you're going to start writing the ECU. Obviously, you have to have everything set. Let's see. All right, what are we doing here? That was a little glitch there, but let's go back. Yes, of course. I already have one. Save. It's fine. Close. Off, wait 10 seconds, go back on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, it's definitely going through. If you look at the dash here as well, kind of freaking out. Like I said, I'm sure different computers probably, perform better or worse as well.
That's going fast.
I'm sure having good, up-to-date everything probably helps process quicker. But, for the most part, it's
what we're writing to this one here is actually the lower fuel map.
Yeah, because right now the main problem right now is obviously that idle issue. So once we know, I want to make sure that the idle's good.
Yeah, on the upper end, I mean, again, I don't know because
you didn't really get on
because
too
well,
much.
I didn't open her all the way up because I knew it wasn't flash yet.
Right.
But at the same time too, we also had the actual limiter on. We did disable that already.
Yeah.
So that's writing that right now as well.
Yeah, exactly. Putting that as well.
And then we also took out the we also took off what?
The disabling the exhaust valve.
The exhaust valve, so we'll never have to worry about a servo buddy ever again.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then
you could disable the stock O2 sensor. We, like you said, take off the top speed limiter. We also raised the rev limiter up to the 14.5.
Yeah, well, this one was at 13.750 as stock. We raised it to 14.5 on the rev limiter on that side there too. So we should be able to hold throttle a little bit longer, which, I mean, I guess in a race down to the line, that could be the difference of a win or a loss.
Yeah, absolutely. And the bike has it. The bike has it. It's there. So.
One thing I've learned too, I think the Kawasaki's in general at the upper end are pretty wild already. They're map beastly.
Right, yeah, for sure. The Kawasaki,
we don't have a dead zone on this. I mean, did you have a dead zone on your ZX-10?
I mean, you could say down low, maybe like before you get to 6,000-7,000 is maybe a little sleepy compared to once you start getting into the RPMs, but I mean, the power's still always there. It's just not the same once you start screaming.
If you didn't want that to happen, if you wanted just a really cool pull range, like a low, what I call torque range down to the very, very bottom, what do you do? What do you increase?
So that depends. Obviously, all bikes are different. But really, probably what it comes down to is, obviously, always air-fuel ratio has to be perfect throughout the entire range.
Do you give it more units in that, like between the 2 to let's say 5,000, 6,000 RPM?
Right. Say there was a lazy spot where maybe it was just too rich in a certain section where it was getting too much fuel or not enough. You could definitely play around with it fuel-wise, or start playing around with timing. To try to help advance, and definitely not retard, but try to get a little bit more timing into it and see if it'll speed things up. Making some more oomph, out of that engine. It really all depends. And then fuel, got to run good fuel. There's so many factors. Every day is different. Temperature changes.
Temperature changes, I feel like, are probably the hardest situation because fuel. You guys know we're using 93 on these ones, pump gas for right now.
Use 93 exactly.
Yeah, for pump.
Yep. But it's combination, and then gear changes as well. It all depends.
So if you have a sluggish quick shifter like this quick shifter, in my opinion, is somewhat sluggish compared to my R1M or even the R1. What do you do to increase the efficiency of those?
There has to be some type of time delay there.
But is that adjusted on this type of thing for the tune?
I'm not exactly sure yet.
Okay.
That's the thing we have to find out, if there's an option in here, or there may be a.
We did know there was a race quick shifter.
Right, a race quick shifter.
But I wonder what that means. Yeah.
That's what that's the thing. Once we, it's either because Woolwich actually sells a quick shifter for the bike, so I'm wondering if this one is maybe a little sleepy per se, and maybe theirs is more accurate, or something where it's a lot quicker. So there has to be a reason why they came out with one, for sure.
Makes sense.
It wouldn't make sense for them to sell one and not have a reason to be selling one.
I'm just curious if there's anything that can be done on this one here where it actually does that.
There has to be settings for sure. There has to be a way. Like I said, it has to be some type of time delay, or something that is keeping that, or just the fact that the bike was already limited from the factory.
Again, that's what I'm trying to say to you. I was going to that. I was alluding to that point that we took the restrictions off. So that could also affect shifting. Right. It could affect throttle performance.
Right. Yeah,
it could
throttle response.
It affects fuel. Sometimes. I say the upper, like your range when you pull on throttle. Right. All that stuff is being controlled. And we're not on a dyno, so we can't exactly see where that drops off.
Mm-hmm.
Where that drops off at 13,000, does it drop off at 11,000 RPM? And then you're just, the last portion of that range is just pretty much just us spitting as much gas into the piston head as possible to pull as much horsepower. But again, when we get it out on the road here in just a little bit, we'll see exactly what that feels like.
Oh, yeah. You notice the changes for sure. After I flashed mine, it definitely had a little issue off idle where it wasn't crispy, so that needed to be adjusted. Again, just making stuff free flowing you have a lot of fuel to add in there because everything was just so stopped up. They didn't need the fuel before. That big catalytic converter is just stopping everything.
Sure.
So
it's 6-7%, guys. Go let us. We'll let this thing run here, and then obviously, what are you gonna do? What's the next step after this?
So once I know, obviously we're good, it's gonna tell us probably shut the bike off again, turn it back on. I want to run it again, obviously, and we're gonna be able to tell what kind of changes we've made, how she sounds, and obviously what kind of response we get out of that throttle. Because obviously it needs to be accurate, not lazy.
Can you do that in the stance? Is that what you can just you don't have to mess with it, take it out. I've never done it this way. This is the first for me too, guys, because typically when we do our tunes, I do a dyno tune. At least my R1s have been dyno tuned that way, and the Honda was done that way too. Even though I'm not impressed with what was done with the Honda is just freaking sleepy as hell. You guys know we went. Where did we go this weekend?
BMW Wilmington in Cape Fear. That was an awesome time. So yeah, George got to ride that brand new S1000. So he knows what that new technology is capable of.
That bike was flipping a screamer. I mean, compared to, I gotta tell you something too, man. Maybe rethink also too what the R1M is for the price point, because I'm gonna tell you this: my R1M, according to the one that I ordered, was $1,100 more than this bike here that I'm going to be getting from BMW. Wow. So when that one was placed in there, the order was placed basically last week, but I finalized everything with the salespeople today. And so one thing I did find out too, guys, the billet packages that are available on the BMW, the 475, and if you go to the build kit on the website, those are all recalled. So this one is not coming with a billet kit. It was supposed to, but it's not because of the recall. And so what they're going to do, they told me just to wait. They would order it again, and then we'd have to install it post haste, which they said is not a problem at the dealership. They'll just pop it on there. They probably wouldn't even charge anything because I wanted to have it prior to the build. But he says they didn't want to hold back the build dates because the bikes right now are taking anywhere from 2 to 3 months to be built. So, and they didn't have a resolution just yet, according to what the salesperson said, for that recall. And if you guys are familiar with BMW levers, the billets actually, for transport, they're able to fold back to get out of the way, I guess, when they put the straps on, so they don't basically pull them off, or basically they don't get caught in the strap. So you can fold them up. It looks like a fighter jet that can fold its wings, basically, when you see them on the carriers. That's what it looks like on those levers. And they said that at over 135 miles an hour, those levers would fly up. At least on a couple of bikes. Didn't happen on all of them, but if it happens on one, they got to call it for everybody else. The one that I test drove, the freaking billet was tight on. I actually stopped. I was playing with it at the stoplight, and I was like, I could not see this thing flying up, at 135 miles an hour. So, long story short, I'm not going to be able to get the billet package that I wanted, which is the extra $475. And they basically said that, in order, so we have to turn on the ignition for 10 seconds and back on to reset ECU. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Good to go. Back at green. And obviously our changes are still in there. There's our section. You can see is
blue. It all so basically nice. It's brand new right there. Yep. Upper end, you guys can see how many units are we getting on the upper end let's slide down.
So this,
how much are we getting at 12, 13,000?
So this right here is basically just idle and off idle. This would be before the ram air effect, pretty much before you're up to speed. So if I switch here to throttle position maps, so throttle position, now you can see is obviously a way bigger number because you're applying throttle.
Yeah, so if I'm so obviously throttle, you guys know we've got quarter turns, we've got, basically half turn, and you got full throttle. If you've ever watched some of Chris Moore or Moore Mafia's things, you could be at full throttle and the bike is only spitting out 60% horsepower.
Absolutely.
On some of the bikes.
It all depends on how the factory, whether it's timing, fuel. They use the secondary throttle plates a lot of times to actually close instead of being open.
To give it more compression, obviously.
Not necessarily to give it compression. The United States does it for the noise big, really.
Oh, true.
And it actually, you're slowing the bike down.
Sure.
So, like with mine, I've adjusted those secondary throttle plates to be actually 100% when I am 100%, at the throttle position sensor.
But obviously, I'd have to tear into this engine to get to that throttle plates and everything too to make it work, right?
No. That's all adjusted right on
Oh,
here.
okay. So is that next? Is that what we're gonna be looking at?
That
Okay.
could be next. Like if you said, if we're up, upstairs, we're doing a high runs or somewhere, like you said on the dyno.
Yeah.
And you see at 10, 12,000 RPM. Like you said, that there's just no gas, or you can see in the map that the throttle plates actually close. We would actually open them up, obviously to get more airflow. So they want to restrict that airflow as much as possible.
Well, I would open them I would do it. I mean, if that's, I don't know what's, so we did step one, which is the lowest portion of it. So where are we going next?
So let's see.
Where's your eye going to where you need to make an adjustment?
So let's see. This is where we can get a really good look at what this map looks like. Sometimes from the factory, they don't look very good. As far as you can see how many humps are in here. Some of them are pretty choppy. So I spin this around. So if you see here, you can just see how that's not really a good looking fuel map. That's from the factory. So what's nice is Woolwich actually makes a smoothing button. So you actually can smooth out this entire graph slowly but surely.
Let's do it. How does that work?
Yeah. So let's check it out. So smooth. And you can see it changed.
Oh, it freaking totally changed. What the heck?
Smooth again.
Smoothing again? Yeah, wow.
Smooth again. Smooth again. So, because obviously when the bike is running, when you're applying throttle, nothing is doing up and down like that map should. Everything is supposed to be a nice constant flow.
Like an even pull.
For an even pull.
Yeah, okay, for acceleration.
We're not talking about chopping the gas and, revving the gas up. That just comes with it. But you want a nice, obviously, even flow when it comes to power band, air-fuel ratio, torque curve, whatever it comes down to.
Is this the maximum smoothing level for this particular map, or do you go again?
No, yeah, it can keep going. It can keep going. So again, we're taking out these little valleys.
It's literally looking so good. So you do it again and again until you're happy with it.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we see a major ridge here. Is that on the lowest RPM? Is that why?
This would be this is 1% down here, so this is closed.
Okay.
Yep. And obviously, this is where you're getting this would be 16,000 RPMs.
Okay, awesome.
So making your fuel's coming up this way.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm reading that graph correctly. Yep.
You're opening the throttle, and your fuel is climbing up.
Awesome.
Obviously.
Awesome. I think a lot of the viewers don't really know how that looks on.
Okay.
I mean, visually, when you're looking at what you're doing on a tuning side versus what you're doing on a throttle side,
right.
I mean, to me, this visual is amazing. I've never seen this before.
Yeah, that's why I like this program.
Yeah, Woolwich has got a good program, man.
It is. And it's nice enough where you can make these slight changes. You go out and ride the bike or whatever, bring it to your local dyno and see what kind of gains you have. Or if you've lost something, you know what you need to do, go back and change it. It's pretty.
Are you comfortable with the way it's smoothed out here, or do you want it a little bit more?
So me personally, I want to take this valley out here.
Let's figure out that.
That's going to be the next step.
So how do we do that?
Let's see if I can get a better look here. And again, it is kind of a little funky to look at.
I think it's so cool that you can 3D it, so you know exactly kind of what the depth is.
Right. And that's the way I like looking at it. That is visual. I'm just trying to see where the best place I can get to smooth that thing out. And you can see you can move the graph in all different ways. Twist it back around to the front. There we go. It can be a little touchy to use. Let's see, so I'm gonna rotate it down a little bit more. There we go. So if you could see how we want to take that away. Again, we've gotten a lot more smoothness here, but we want to take that away as well. So we can start by adjusting these points. So you just have to make sure you grab the correct point, obviously. You can see how many points there are. I'm going to change this to plus and minus, so 10 units. So yeah, right there. Subtract. I believe there is a way that you can adjust sections. I'm honestly not sure yet. Subtract. So that's going to bring that down. So again, I mean, it is little by little, but and you really don't want to do drastic changes, obviously.
Sure.
You don't want to go too crazy one way or the other way and then have run issues. Or bad throttle response, or
what's a run issue where it just literally doesn't?
Well, say if you take too much fuel away, if it's too rich, down low, obviously then you're just wasting fuel. But you want to be able to obviously have a nice smooth fuel curve. That way you're not wasting gas, you're not wasting horsepower. But again, we already know there's a sweet spot because you don't want to be too lean as well. You got the bike all nice and hot. You want to be able to sit at the street light and not cook,
The engine.
yeah, or yourself.
Yeah, or myself.
So. Smooth it again. So we're getting there.
It looks a lot better.
Yeah, and see this dip here too. That's probably gonna play into up top. This up here needs to come down though. Again, I'm just going point by point so I can stay in that group and not, make a change on the wrong one. You can actually do it with the keyboard as well. Just, of course, for the life of me, I can't remember. And the next one, I'll hopefully bring that down. I mean, may not even. It would be nice actually just to ride the bike, see where we're at. I think the road is the dyno. That's what they do on a dyno, is just you're obviously tricking the bike to thinking it's on the road.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You happy with that?
So we're gonna go smooth again. So this button We got a little bit lower. It's definitely going to be way smoother than what it is, but see how this can actually probably come out as well. But again, I mean, I haven't ridden the bike yet, so we don't really know. So if you start going too crazy, but from where it was,
That looks a lot better. It looks
you know
really
what I mean?
smooth, right?
From where it was, it's, you know.
So do you write this now to the bike?
Right. So we would save this. So, and again, sport and road, throttle position map. Okay. Changed. Yes, we'll save it. And just in case, this is going to be 3. It's me, I always like having.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
This is our stock ECU here. This is our throttle issue change down low at idle, and now we have 0.3 where we
fuel
have
mapping.
adjusted the fuel map.
Good job.
Yeah. So again, at least you can always go backwards and save yourself.
So turn off the ignition for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And it definitely does take some time, you know, doing it this way. But again, somebody on a dyno tune, somebody's gonna have your bike for at least a day or 2. I mean, I'm not really sure. I know it's at least a day's worth of work. You know, it's a lot of setup, a lot of prep on a dyno.
Yeah, when I got the R1M worked on with
How long did that
KWS, I was there for an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. So and that was full dyno setup tune.
That was yeah. It
Or
took
was
an,
it just-
well, he had to get it on the actual dyno. It took like 10 minutes to get it all
Okay.
strapped down. But from start to finish, when he got on the computer to the time that it was done, it was an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. All right.
And he was really like in their maps deep too, kind of like what you were doing.
Okay.
And he was rewriting the whole freaking thing. He goes, I'm gonna tell you right now. He goes, your R1M, it's probably one of the most powerful
One of
ones
the
I've
best.
actually dynoed.
Okay.
And he also said too, he goes, I think you're gonna be really pleased with your mode A and B. He goes,
Right.
I adjusted both.
Change them around.
So, you know, obviously
Exactly.
racetrack is going to be insane. He goes, that thing's completely dial filled up. What I did, because you're also in, you know, you ride the street and you're not riding in track mode, you're in B mode, he goes, that thing is spicy. That's the way he described it, as it's a very spicy tune.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that, like, that's why I'm only in B mode when we're riding together.
Okay.
And this thing just screams. When
Yeah.
I go to A, it's insane.
Opens it up even more.
Oh, it's insane.
Yep. Hey, that's what's nice about having those different selections. But that's quick, because I've really heard more than anything. I've never personally had a bike dyno.
But keep in mind,
So,
his
I guess it
maps.
really all depends.
But keep in mind, he has tons of maps.
He
He's
has
done a
everything
ton of
ready to
R1s.
go. That's good.
I mean,
That's
this
good.
was not. This is not the first R1M that he had done.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is probably
And
like
that's
his,
what it comes down to.
probably
You
his
go-
40th R1M.
That's what it comes down to. If the
So
guy
he
is
knows what's up.
knowledgeable- Right.
Yeah, he
right.
knows exactly what's broken. He's got to go in there and fix it.
What needs to make it better, and right.
But I'm almost positive that your first,
awesome.
his probably his first actual tune on that side there was probably several hours before he figured out his base map.
Right. Yeah, so that's the thing. Maybe it's more, especially a new bike, when you got to figure things out. I'm sure you're taking at least a few hours to make it correct and
Yeah.
you know, working out the bugs, of course.
And you guys will see too that when you guys are doing the flashing and stuff, your freaking computer is going
Yeah, she's
bonkers.
freaking out.
Yeah, they just go nuts. I mean,
But
it's normal.
yeah, that's just communicating.
So once we're done with this, now do you turn on the bike and try
Yeah.
to see what it sounds like and everything
Yeah,
too?
exactly. Yeah, we'll
Do you
see.
want to go take it for a ride and everything too? Just to
I would
kinda-
like to, just to see.
Yeah.
Because again, then you know, once you know what it feels like, and once you hear it as well. But
And you're more than welcome to take it out here and just go up the street.
yeah, at least it's nice and straight
Yeah.
right here.
Just be careful. I mean, the cops sit at that light up top there, it'll sit up there. I mean, usually don't check my bike, but
No,
still.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be because we're checking for a response, nothing sluggish.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to do 1,000,000 miles an hour to do that.
No. I want you to be able to. I want you to be able to like ride it to like and then stop at a stoplight.
Right.
And you can even go off to one like there's a school off to the right over there.
Okay.
You can pull off and that's a straight road all the way back. And there's a court turns around and comes back. But at least you can kind of feel throttle wise.
Right. Exactly.
What it can do.
Yeah, that's what we need to know. Yeah, I'm curious to see. I mean, especially everything going to electronic throttle now.
I mean, the by the wire type throttles now are so much different than the other old ones that
When they
are
first came out.
Yeah, I mean,
Gotcha.
I don't think yours is a by.
No,
yours is
no,
not
that's
by wire.
cables.
That's
Yeah,
cable
that's
still.
cables,
Yeah.
man, yeah.
So
Yeah, my bike's old now.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
So again, guys, it's just
man.
it's still doing its deal over here.
It's
We're
definitely a
40% through on that side there. So let me ask you a question. So once you do this type, so once you go take it for a ride there, then you would be able to go ahead and just what you'll probably do is just see if there needs to be any adjustments after that for that side.
Okay. Of course. Yep. Yeah, if we we get to or whatever, just listening to it and it still doesn't sound right, keep playing with it. Getting to a stoplight, especially when the bike is hot. Things are different when you're sitting in traffic and the bike is at 180 degrees compared to 100 degrees. So there's a lot of things to account for.
Yeah.
So yeah, summertime is going to be completely different than wintertime. Yes, the bike is able to make those changes, but you still have to have a good base map to have that ECU make the correct changes in those different.
What I'll do too is when you go out for the test ride, I will camera up the bike. I'm gonna put a camera on here, guys. That way you guys can see and possibly hear what he's doing. You can talk too while you're going through your ride. You say, "Hey guys, I'm gonna test this," and then what I'll do is when we edit the video and everything too, we'll put it all together so you guys can kind of see exactly how that all panned out, and everything. So we're almost there, guys. So just a little bit more. And we'll go here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just stop the video for the moment here while this thing is uploading. And then what we'll do, I'll cut back on when we use when you go for the test drive, which will be good. So guys, appreciate y'all. We'll see you in just a second.